Okay, now we'll go further. There are many philosophical formulas regarding the growth and decline of human societies, or the various stages which they are supposed to pass through. The theory of astrophy, as usual applied to India, is one of them. It is possible that it also has some relevance in explaining the growth, flowering, and decline of Indian society. Through the contemporary data are separate from opinion and formulation does not seem to indicate the 18th century science and technology in India had an atophied. Some of them may well have been in such a state. It is possible that various other country in the our current and past formulation on the subject of growth and decline of human society also have come contribution to come in explaining what happening to Indian science and society over the millenniums. So whatever basically they are discussed, like the exact thing whatever happened with our Indian science and technology, it's like we are not still not knowing. So what exactly happened, Dharampal ji has searched out in his findings, and then in this book he has just presented all the things, maximum of them, all of that. So we'll go through it. So whatever may be the actual relevance of the story of astrophy and other theories of European origin is in explaining the development of Indian society. It appears much more probable that in most respect the science and technology of India had reached a desirable balance and equilibrium such before the 18th century. In the context of value and aptitude of Indian culture, the social norms and the consequent political structure and institutions, the science and technology of India, instead of being in a state of atrophy, there is actually usefully performing the task desired by Indian society. It is the application of unrelated standards and judgment, particularly those explaining from 18th 19th century Europe, which hide and distorted the actual situation and relationship. So there are a lot of like textures are there which are proving that they are hiding and destroying the actual situations and relationships on the topic of this Indian science and technology. So although organizationally weak in a military and political sense, in most respect the political and social ideas of India, like its legal and administrative arrangements, as well as science and technology, had achieved maturity and balance at some time previous to its present days contracts with the European world. Its social and political structure at this period, though seemingly different from those that obtain in a European world of today. So and was able to provide of freedom, well-being, and social society security, basically similar to those at present available in much of the European world. It also seemed to have had somewhat similar ideas about ruler ruled relationships, the resolutions of dispute, legal punishments, sexual moves, and protect against those in actual authorities, etc. But while the whole led to more freedom and equality, and these characteristics added to a basically decentralized political and military structure, and contributed to this society becomes more prone to external attacks. So, according to the centuries, particularly between the 12th and 17th, there is no dearth of such external onslaughts. The onslaught, to an extent, are absorbed or accommodated by Indian society. Over time, however, they contribute not only to further political and military weakens, but also to demand the various integrating factors which had provided the necessary intellectual and spiritual link between different region and specialty as well as I think groups. Overall, however, though the considerable weaker and perhaps also physiological at the low above, the major arrangement and expressions continued to serve the physical, social, spiritual need of the Indian people satisfactorily. So these all he discussed in this that whatever basically they are having in their textures and whatever they have explained about our this social, political and military weekend, and whatever data they are presented to us is totally different from whatever we are having in our system, whatever actual facts are there. So at the time of European onslaught, the indigenous intentions intensive in India seem to have been in a state of slow resurgence. In India, seem to have been in a state of slow resurgence. The resurgence, while it restored a measure of confidence, weakened at same time the political and military structure with the beginning of European dominance in India. The resurgence also transformed into depressions and immigrable disorganizations. Foreign aggressions and dominance was not wholly unknown in India before the restore of it by European and mid 18th century. But the European had by this period belonged to the whole alien world in related to the India. So they were not only armed with the concepts and heretical institutions on a long feudal European past, but had also preparing for the occasion for 2 or 3 centuries. The consequent application of their concept and value completed the destruction of Indian science and society, which had been started by the political and military defeat of India at their end. So they have not trying to defeat India, and they are actually after defeating the India by different means, how they have defeated their initially some Mughal empires initially in early 70s, and then after 1750 when this complete Mughal empire has been defeated by Marathas, and then slowly they have disintegrated this Marathas also from entire Indian map, and slowly they have by their own philosophy, by their only single philosophy that divide and rule. So whatever small loops they got it in between that Marathas also, and in between this particular Marathas, and before that this Rajputs. So whatever the small loophole they got it, from that loophole they was found out, and in that same loophole they try to differentiate, or they are just dividing the peoples by using that loops, and by using the divide and rule policy, because it is there in their policy itself. The East India Company is having that policy that divide always whenever you will go to any country or anywhere, like they have done it in Korea also. That they, and after that once they are made it independent, then they have done it North Korea and South Korea. So, and same way they have done it in this particular Ireland also. So Ireland also now they are in two parts. Okay, so now same South Africa also different like in square format they have made the map in South Africa, and still like different places, different type of fightings is still going on in Africa, and that fighting they are taking always advantage. And whatever like country they will fight, and they have won, like Africa and India and other places. So these all, like they have like put it some conflicts. So whatever conflicts, like India and Pakistan, they had divided into two different countries, and then between them always they will make it such kind of things that they will always fight. Like over Kashmir we are fighting from so long. So, and like in Africa also, different type of divisions they have made it, and resulting always there was a conflict, and they are always taking advantage of it. And after conquiring and after giving back this freedom, or whatever false freedom they are giving to these countries, they are just vanishing their actual facts, whatever they are, like we are there that particular time before they have conquired us. Like in India, when they conquired us, they have like slowly they have changed our history, and they have changed it like that Europeans are there from so many years, and we have done it so many good things in India, and like that so many things they have turned it like that, so that the peoples will understand it, that in India, if Europeans and all this Britishers will not come, then here nothing will, are nothing, we are nothing actually. So but that is a wrong. Before that Britishers, we are doing it very well, and very popular all across the world. Indian like our sand, our Bharatvarsh, we can say full Bharatvarsh is doing very nice works, and every country is knowing us from our work, whatever science and technology things are there that time with us. So okay, we'll go further, and then what has developed in India in the field of science and technology during the past centuries, and at a greater uh, pace since 1947, is mainly a transplanting of some of that which has developed during this period in the European world. Such transplanting has happened not only at the level of theories, but even more or more so as regards of organizing the technology and the direction of research. Then it is largely due to such transplanting, and this it's unthinking concept that though many individual Indian scientists and technology are as creative and intensive as their colleges in the European world, the impact of this science and technology on the larger society of India is in fact mineable. It is no aggregations, perhaps, to add that the field of science and technology in India, as far as it concerns its original life, is only a little less wherein than Indian state system and its politics. So these all things are there. Then borrowing the idea and practices in themselves need not to be obstructive to Indian development and creativity. During the century, India must have borrowed many ideas and practices from other lands, in the same manner in which Europeans received such much in the field of science and technology from the Arabs, etc., or Arab or the other did from India. So to the extent that such borrowing led to further innovations and creative, they are at a great welcomed. Unfortunately, so far the past centuries unthinking transplanting the European science and technology in India has resulted mainly in regarding the blunting of indigenous innovations and creativity creativity. So the problem for Indians today are perhaps for many other lands which are still recovering from the effect of 18th and 19th century. The European dominance is how to achieve and increase much innovations and creativity. Such innovation and creativity can arise, however, only from a widespread indigenous base. Such a base has yet to be identified in countries like India, or for that knowledge and comprehension of how they function before the beginning of its dominance seem to be essential, even for the purposely adoption from European, or for that matter Japanese, Chinese and any other science and technology, and their integrations with indigenous concepts, knowledge and forms. It is necessary that these countries achieve much self knowledge and understanding at the earliest possible. So whatever Europeans, they came here in India, and South Africa they have gone, and other places, so for conquiring. So still it's going on, it's going on in other countries, it's going on now, which we are not even knowing. So that we will discuss in further some lectures. So whatever notes he has prepared about this, so it is we can find out these researches that Land Mary Morton Montague, and that is the memories of that this thing. Then see mid 18th century tracks on inoculations in the British Museum. So in that 18th century, whatever things are there, that you will find out in this. Then Encyclopedia Britannica, that is 1910 and 11 edition. Then article on sewing, that all details are there in this. Then see chapter 2 page 89, also in that all documentation. Then Edinburgh reviews in the age or in the year of 1814. So that all scriptures will be there. Then Encyclopedia Britannica in 1830 23 edition, that is also there. Then that we will discuss these all documents, whatever is given, at ascetic researchers, that is volume 5, article by that William Hunters. So that is also there, that we will discuss. So these all documents separately we will just research it from our end, and we'll go through it by one, so that we'll be knowing whatever in these documents are written, so that we can be able to understand. There are around 56 different documents they are given in this, which is recording the data since published in 1690 onwards to 1669, and all other also data is there, and all other year wise he has done a lot of research on that. So now here in this Dharampal ji collected writings, Indian Science and Technology. Now first chapter we are beginning, that is from science, whatever things are there, he has written all the things, Brahmins observatories at Banaras. So in that once you will go still today's itself, whatever Banaras observatories are there on Brahmins. So in that a lot of things are there which is written in Sanskrit language. Okay, so about our Indian science and technology, whatever we are there at that particular time, if you are able to read properly that Sanskrit documents, then you will be able to understand that how our India was there before Indians, before Britishers, and how we are doing in science and all technology, and whatever different technologies we have that particular time. Okay, so these all details here also just try to mention it all in this document. So please with us, please go through it, please listen it, so that you can also spread this information to all across your neighbor peoples, and so that the collective writings whatever done by the Dharampal ji, and if you need, then you can ask for the PDF also. I can share the link in the comment box. Whatever people they will ask in the comment box, I'll share the document as well to their personal WhatsApp number also. If they need, I can share the this document to them. So here what is there, in Brahmins observatory at Banarsis. So Banarsis by Sir Robert Barker, FRS, published 1777. So this is a document that you can research also on this Benarasis. Okay, in the India's one of the principal seminaries of Brahmins or prefaces of original genotos or of Hindustan, uh, genotos of Hindustans. Okay, gentos of Hindustan. They continue still to be the place of resort of that sect of people, and there are many public charities, hospitals, and pay quarters, where some thousands of them now reside. Okay, and then having frequently heard that the ancient Brahmins had a knowledge of astronomy, and being confirmed in this by their information of an approaching eclipse, approaching eclipse both of the sun and the moon. So means like whatever astrologers we are having in Brahmins, they know years before itself, like when this eclipse will occur, about this sun and moon, and the exact timing of that they already knowing, because they have calculated well before itself in their calendar. They can predict that after 2000 like 30, or after 2050, and in 2080 also, what date around this eclipse going to occur on this sun and part moon. So that is all based on that whatever astrology they have learned it. Brahmins, they have learned the astrology, from there they got this calculation. So I made inquiry when at that place in the year 1772 among the principal Brahmins, to indigenous, to get some information related to the manner in which they were acquainted of an approaching eclipse. The most intelligent that I could met with, however, give me but little satisfaction. I was told that these matters are confined to a few, and who are the possession of certain books or records, some containing the mystery of their religions, and other the table of astronomical observations written in Sanskrit language. So maximum whatever texts are there related to this astronomy are written in Sanskrit language. Once you will be knowing the Sanskrit language, then you can understand thousands of whatever texts are written still there. But you have to decode it. You have to decode it from the Sanskrit language, and you need to tell the people either in English or Hindi, so that they will be better way know whatever things are there. So which few understood, but themselves that they would take me to a place which has been constructed for the purpose, by making such observations as I was inquiring after, and from whence they supposed the learning Brahmins made there. So I was then conducted to an ancient building of stone, the lower part of which is its present situation, was converted into a stable for horse, and a receptacle for lumber, but by the number of courtyard and the apartment, it appeared that it must once have been an edifice for the use of some public public body of people. We entered this building, and went up to the staircase of the top of the part of it near to the river Ganga, and that led to a large terrace where, to my surprise and satisfaction, I saw a number of instruments yet remaining in the greatest preservations, and stupendous large, knowable from the spot, and built of stone, some of them being unupward of 20 feet in height, and altogether they are said to have been erected 2000 years ago. The graduations and diversions on these several arcs appear as well cut and accurately. So they have instruments, they have whatever calculations they are doing, they are having the particular instruments on that, and there's a big machineries which we are having, like this 20 feet of machinery which is there on the terrace, and by that proper calculation and the way which is written in the Sanskrit language, whatever information based on that they are calculating the exact era where when this eclipse will going to occur, about this sun and moon. So this thing is there. Then whatever as accurately divided, and as if they had been the performance of the modern artist. So the execution in the construction of these instruments exhibited a mathematical exactness in the fixing, bearing and fitting of several parts, in the necessary and sufficient support to the very last stone that compose them, and in the joining and fastening each into the other by means of lead and iron. So these all like with lead and iron, they have made it this kind of large, very large stones, and which are composed, which compose them and joining them, fastening each other. So they have made it machinery like that to particular make an instrument, and with this, with their mechanical exactness, they have done and they have calculated that eclipse far more like years ahead, like how it will be there in 2080 around, and how it will be there in 2050 around, and all they have done it very nicely. So the situation of two large quadrant of the instrument marked A in figure 1, and those radius in 9 feet to 2 inch, by there being a right angle with the anomalous or 2 at 25 degrees elevation, are thrown into such a oblique situation to render them the most difficult, not only to construct of such magnitude, but to secure in their position for so long a period, and afford us sticking instant to the ability of the architect in their construction, and for by the shadow of genuine throw on the quadrant, they do not appear to have altered in the least from their origin position. And so too in the line of genuine, that by applying the eye to the small iron ring of an inch diameter at one end, the sight is carried though three other on the same dimension to extremely at the other end. The distant 38 feet 80 inch without obstructions. Such is the firmness art and with which this instrument has been executed. The performance in the is the more powerful and extraordinary when compared with the work of the artificers of Hinduism at this day, who are not under the immediate direction of the European mechanic, but art appearing to have declined exactly equally with the science in the Europe. So like based on this machinery, they are able to do it the exact calculation, and even in Europe, this mechanism totally not at all aware. Also, they are not aware about this. So then this Lieutenant Colonel Arvind Campbell, at that time chief engineer in the East India Company service at Bengal, a gentleman whose ability do honor to his professions, made a perspective drawing of the whole of the apparatus that could be brought within his eye at one view. But eye laminate he could not represent some very large quadrants whose dia were made 20 feet, they being on the side from hence he took his drawing. Their represent descriptions, however, is that they are exact quadrant of circles of different radia, and the largest of which I judged to be 20 feet. The constructed very exactly on the side of the stone wall, built perpendicularly and situated. I suppose in the meridian of the place, a brass pin is fixed at the center or angle of quadrant from whence the Brahmin informed me. They stretched a wire to the circumstances when an observations was to be made, from which it occurred to me the observer must have moved his eye up and down the circumference by mean of ladder or some. So this much of big this instrument is there, which for moving their eyes to up and down also they want ladder. Okay, so this much of big is there. So he has tried to make it, but somehow some diameters are very big in their shapes. So such contrivancy to raise and lower himself until he had discovered the altitude of any of the heavy body in their passage over the radiance. So expressed on the arc of these quadrant, these arc were very exactly divided into 9 large sections, and each of which again into 10, and making a 19th laser division or degrees, and those also into a 20 expressing 3 minutes such, and each of about 2 tenths of its of an inch as under, so that it is probable they had some methods of dividing even these into more minutes divisions at the time of observation. So they are having that much of technology that they are having that particular divisions which they can divide in more minutes to get in more better observation time to time. So my time would only permit me to take down the particular dimensions of the most capital instrument or the greater economical sundial represented by figure 1a, which appear to be an instrument to express solar time by the shadow of the anomal upon 2 quadrants, one situated at the east and the other to the west of it. And indeed the chief part of their instrument at this place appear to be constructed for the same purpose, except the quadrant and the brass instrument that will be described hereafter. So in figure 1a, 1b and 1a, 1c, that you will be able to find out how it will be there. So that figure in this texture is not given, but once you will see, then in the figure 1b is another instrument for the purpose of determining the exact hours of the day by the shadow of gentleman which stated perpendicular to and in the center of the flat circular stone, okay, supported in an oblique situation by mean of upright stone and cross pieces, so that the shadow of the gentleman which is perpendicular iron rod is though upon the division and circle described on the face of the flat circular stone. Okay, then in figure 1c is a brass circle about 2 feet in diameter, moving vertically upon 2 pivots between 2 stone pillars having an index or hand turning round horizontally on the center of the circle, which is divided into 360-degree parts, but there are no counter divisions on the index to subdivide those on the circle. The instrument appear to be made for taking the angle of of the star at setting or rising, or for taking the azimuth or amplitude of the sun at rising or setting. So these particular, like figure wise, they are having different kind of configuration in their instrument, which like different way they are using it. Okay, like for figure 1c, they are using just to take the timing of rising and setting of the sun, and the azimuth and amplitude of the sun during rising and setting. So the use of instrument figure 1d, I was at the loss to account for. It consists of two circular walls, the counter of which it about 40 feet diameter, the 8 feet high, the wall within about half that height, and appear intended for a place to stand on the observe the division on the upper circle of the outer wall, rather than for any other purpose. And yet both circles are divided into 360 degree, each degree being subdivided into 20 lesser divisions, and same as a quadrant. There is you can see this much of depthness is there, like each 360 degree also further divided into 20 lesser divisions. So by that you can understand how much this is the thing is there. So the figure is missing in that book, otherwise I will must show you. So the doorway and the pass into this inner circle and the pillar in the center on the same height, and the lower circle have a hole in it, being in the center of both circles, and seem to be a socket for an iron rod to be placed perpendicularly into it. The division on these as well as all other instruments will bear a Nike examination with a pair of compass. So we will discuss further in some more depth about this instrument, because a very interesting instrument which I also gone through it first time only. So in this separately we'll Google it, and we will just we'll do the research part from other textbooks and all other places whatever we will be able to find it. And then we will be able to know like how this instrument was there, and how this Europeans they have done it, whatever things they have done it with this, and whether they have taken it to their place, and whatever because still in India I don't think so this thing instruments is still there. So you can also comment on this below, and you can ask some questions. And because this instrument is very rare, looking like very rare type of instrument, which is having this much of higher accuracy, and each figure is having a different kind of calculation eligibility. Okay, they are eligible to do some different type of calculations, okay, each figure wise. Then figure I and E is a smaller equiescent sun dial constructed upon the same principle as the large one aim. So I cannot quite this subject without observing, okay, that the Brahmins without the assistance of an optical glass had nevertheless an advantage unexperienced by the observers of the more northern climate, and ceramics and clearness of the atmosphere in the night time in the East India, okay, except in the season of changing the monsoon and periodic winds, and difficult to express to those who have been seen it, because it have nothing to compare to form an idea upon. It is very clear perception. A total quantity constitute scarcely a cloud to be seen. So before the cloud, what they will be able to see it more very more widely, more distance wise and all. So to get it more better information. So we'll just stop it here, our lecture of today's, and then we'll go for the next one, and we'll go through it step by step, whatever things are there in the next class. Okay, thank you, and in the next video. Good day.